Today we have a very distinguished guest, Ms. Enji Jaber, Head of Climatize, Plus Impact Sustainability Division, Serco's advisory arm. Thank you very much for being with us today. We just finished the second extended year of sustainability. And when it comes to ESG, it's highly perceived as a yearly report, often delivered by a third party. However, you at Climatize are very committed to having it a daily culture. How can we relay that?
Well, first of all, thank you for your time and for having us. And indeed, we've just wrapped up another year, and everyone is racing now to turn their sustainability reports out to the public. And as you correctly said, there are those who are founded on the principles of sustainability and they integrate sustainability into their day-to-day practices. And you can see that clearly in their reporting strategies. And there are those who unfortunately they more of like to showcase what they've done and just touch upon or highlight a few elements that they call sustainability, whereas it's commonly mistaken for, let's say, corporate social responsibility or the like, right? So how can we turn this into something that the public could actually make use of, something that comes with a measurable
daily culture
impact, right? We're not just going for day to day. And that comes in down to the core of the business. I come from a mindset of if you want to do something, you do it right. And if you want to do that, so you have to question the actual core of your business. How can we turn our day-to-day into an sustainable operational practice? And how do we do that? We start questioning. Do we need, to print this document? Yes or no? Do we need to, use certain, disposables, or can we shift into a different thing? The same goes with the services that you provide. How can you operate in a more sustainable manner? So it's not just your day-to-day, corporate activities, but it's more of how can you service the community better? And that goes into, again, we can delve, deeply into this. But I think the main thing is that, and the key here is to integrate sustainability into every decision making that you take, and down from what you would consider the most simplest thing, down to the most complicated thing, because even that small decision would have such a ripple effect that it would cause some measurable impact on the environment.
Another point and a challenge that we often encounter in the Middle East, basically, that especially among multinational companies, they have their own global ESG guidelines and sustainability guidelines globally, but how can we relay them to this part of the world and implement them locally on the ground?
Look, benchmarks, standards, frameworks, there are plenty out there, right? And the key is to take the best practice and then tailor make it for your local context. There's no one size fit all. Unfortunately, this is not the way sustainability works. And we need to delve deep into what is the business need, what is the communal need, what is the environmental need, what's the social impact, not just the environmental impact. And then tailor that, best practice solution, if you want to call it, into something that they could take. But that doesn't mean that, we discard things. You look around many of, let's say, European countries, US markets, and the UK, and there are a lot of initiatives there that we could, learn from. Take ecotourism as an example. In Turkey, when we were discussing this earlier, is that they strive to become one of the world's top ecotourism destination, right? And they do that by ensuring that the hotels are certified, globally and locally. And it's not just a certification, but the actual practices, and they go and they verify and things like that. And I think this is where we could learn from those best practices, and we start implementing it here.
ESG literacy and sustainability literacy remains a bit challenging globally, but including in the Middle East. What are basically your advice basically and recommendations and thoughts to advance in that aspect?
Well, let's see. I mean, when ESG, sustainability, CSR, whatever you want to call it, it all comes down to accountability and responsibility. Okay. When we talk about sustainability, as the broad term of sustainability is for us, we plan today for, elongating our resources for tomorrow. And this is the concept of sustainability. ESG comes as a form of, okay, how are we going to actually implement this? And then we start measuring, verifying, and reporting it. So don't jump directly into your ESG without proper planning first. You get what I mean? So you need to get your policies out. You need to get them, your strategies, your guidelines, and make them resilient, plan around resiliency, take the environment as part of that plan, and then start.
Do you think the talent, the human resources available in the Middle East are ready to take sustainability and ESG within their companies and market to the next level?
Depends on which sector you're talking about. It depends on the resource availability. I think human nature, we're most likely to adapt. So we might not be ready at the moment, but
in terms of priority, how can we put it as a priority?
Well, it is a priority on the global agenda, right?
Absolutely. And here, for example.
And locally, exactly. Around the MENA region, you have the UAE's talking about it, Saudi's talking about it. Everybody's saying the push for sustainability is there, it's tangible.
And this really brings us to greenwashing and greenwashing. We know that greenwashing basically is something, a global phenomena that is being dealt with as much as possible. But what about greenwashing, let's say, to start with? How can we basically encourage people to talk more on sustainability?
Well, again, the ESG reporting, or when we go for third-party auditors, transparency and accountability is the main thing, right? And for us to really reach our global targets, whether it's near zero, net zero, whether it's just a small little impact for whatever it is, if you are honest about it as a business in terms of your culture and your practice, believe me, there's nothing for you to hide. Even if you're doing little, this little thing it might actually be better than a lot of people. So be transparent, hold yourself accountable, and then mention, let's say, okay, I did one small act today, but my plan for the future is to get there, and this is how I will get there. How do we avoid greenwashing? It's just by encouraging people to come out of their shells, that sustainability is not a taboo. It's something that is good for you as an organization.
And for your business.
I know there is the mindset of, if we invest, that means we will take a hit on our revenue stream or our profitability and stuff like that. And people look for the quick wins so that they can promote it as something that they're doing rather than on focusing on what really matters. I'd encourage everybody to just take that step back, prioritize your agenda, see what really makes it there. What would call for you as a company that you'd be proud as to stand up and say, this is my mission, this is my priority. Yes, we will try to tackle as much as we can. If we fail, at least we tried. But these are our priority areas, and this is what we will achieve.
We are in the Middle East. We have very big, basically, stories when it comes to tourism. Dubai is today among the world's top 3 most visited cities by all standards. Saudi Arabia has a very bullish strategy, and they have all what it takes to deliver. Oman as well. Ecotourism is something that has a potential in the Middle East, yet to be tackled. You, as working with hotels, with all those hotels and all those projects in the Middle East. How can we progress and encourage really hotels to be green with actions rather than just an announcement or two?
Yeah. Well, you see, before we tackle that, we need to understand that the consumer mindset is now shifting, right? We're seeing a lot of individuals who are becoming or turning into eco-consumers, right? So there is an acknowledgement here to be made is that people are willing to pay that extra premium for eco-tourism or eco-products, etc. Now, when it comes to tourism per se, there's a lot of initiatives that can be taken without even, if anything, it will boost revenues for the, for hotels, for hospitality sector, aviation sector, and the like. And here I'm talking about zero waste initiatives. Like, imagine if you promote that you would have a zero waste hotel where everything that you are utilizing is being recycled, repurposed. I feel like people will be encouraged to go there. Workshops, sustainability workshops as part of the activities. Have an itinerary for your guests where they can be engaged with the environment and natural activities, sustainability workshops, etc.
You are an advisory basically arm. What are you advising your clients in this regard in the hospitality space?
Well, we're advising them from different aspects. Obviously, there is the first and one-off is, how can we turn their assets into more environmentally friendly buildings? So we were talking about how can they turn into becoming energy efficient, for example, retrofitting the existing or in terms of new ones. Looking into what are the certain initiatives and strategies or policies that they can implement within the hospitality unit as well as the actual building. We're looking at things to do with the day-to-day activities and consumer, the supply chain, the whole supply chain. Like, how do you control your supply chain to become more green, and not in terms of greenwashing for you to label your hotel as a a green hotel, but actually show that quantify the measurement that you are or the impact that you are trying to provide. And apart from that, of course, we look at different sectors. So we look at sustainable mobility, for example. Like, a lot of hotels offer certain,
charging stations, hybrid cars,
exactly.
or
EVs, even like partnerships with certain companies to do the eco tours and things like that. So, we look at it from a holistic point of view. We don't approach sustainability just from one angle, but we try to cover, the main pointers and try at the same time to drive profitability for the company, that you're not just making this investment for the short term, but you
must make sense financially.
It has
business
to have
wise.
a business. Exactly, you have to build that business case for them, right? So unless they see the benefit of it, they're not going to be really interested in it. And yes, it helps sometimes to have the government mandate it, but
last year we had really basically the floods here, and this really linked to risk management for the hospitality basically and the different. What are the learnings in this regard when it comes to ESG and all this, and how are we getting ready, and what are you advising your clients to encounter that and to limit risk?
Resiliency here is my advice to everyone. Plan around resiliency. Again, sustainability comes in definition in many forms, and resiliency is one of that, other adjectives that you could describe sustainability with. And what we've seen last year, with the lack of that infrastructure, it hit a lot of people, it hit a lot of businesses, it really set us back. Luckily, we're in a place where we were able to recover.
Very dynamic, very pragmatic in terms of action. The government. What about the private sector?
Well, what about the private sector? Exactly. Like, imagine
there is a very solid plan, including in Dubai particularly, to address basically the sewage system and all that.
And now
we
we're
saw
finding
the implementation. What about the private sector?
Now, the private sector is trying to take their part in. So there are a lot of, for example, from a developer point of view, they're asking for a lot of scenario and predictive modeling, right?
Yes.
So this is where, for example, we offer them in terms of a digital twin or urban twin to help them in that preventive maintenance, preventive scenario, understanding the effect of climate change on their local context, on their businesses. And again, it will it has to be tailored to every sector and to every business need. It cannot be, again, a one-size-fits-all. Infrastructure here is important, you know. Without building for the future, we cannot be ready for the future. So that's one of the things that they need to start looking into.
There are so many hotels in the region, many new ones, but also many old ones or iconic, so to speak. Retrofitting plays a major role, even in offices. Absolutely. And all that. And this is a huge sector that remains somehow untapped in the region. How are you progressing and advising your clients to take the lead and take action in this regard?
We're working with a lot of clients right now we're conducting a lot of walkthrough audits or the ASHRAE audits. We're looking into proposing certain energy conservation measures and seeing it through. So we're not just there to just give them a piece of paper that tells them, but we're actually giving them something and standing by our word that we will be there with you till the very end, and we will demonstrate the savings that that you're looking at, to have. As you said, absolutely. Most of the built environment is now built. That's why it's called the built environment, right? The new ones are always easy because you can always shape them to whatever you want. It's the existing, it's the old infrastructure, it's the old buildings that needs to be looked at thoroughly, because that is where a lot of the carbon emissions are actually coming from.
Absolutely.
So we need to look at how do we take those, I won't say drastic measure right now, but how do you phase it in such a way that everyone could do it? Small steps. Again, you can start with lighting fixtures, and then you can look at, for example, the HVAC and optimizing it. How do you look at the facade engineering? Water conservation. And I'm glad that you said that, because everybody focuses on energy and they forget water as that it's one of the, actually it's scarce here, so it's something that everyone needs to look at. Waste and circularity, right? Because we do leave a footprint behind us, so what do we do with that?
Is the green financing system basically supporting basically retrofitting in this regard, or they see it as? Not yet. How can we basically?
Not yet. I think right now a lot of the investments, unfortunately, right now who are seeking green financing are all for new developments, and but you're absolutely right. This is something that they need to focus on. We need to encourage it. I guess it's perhaps this could be shaped by the government. This is where the government needs to step in and support.
But we are seeing a lot of activities, especially official programs in Abu Dhabi, for example,
in
Dubai.
And in Dubai, yes. I'm not saying there's nothing that is being done here. I mean, again, the UAE is probably one of the top countries at the forefronts who are tackling sustainability, whether
but
on
how
new
can
and
we
existing.
Encourage and entice the banks, basically, and the providers to put that on the list as well?
I think there needs to be some kind of an incentive here, because unfortunately we are in the profit-driven
market. It's
market,
global,
right?
Even here.
So if a landlord,
don't forget the region has a very bullish target. Basically, for example, UAE has a very bullish target to hit $800 billion in terms of GDP by 2030, overtaking Switzerland. And we're talking here a very big target.
But you know what
we are in
separates us?
2025. We are at almost 600. So 200 more, a big jump.
No, absolutely. But and I think what's causing this is the fact that who ends up paying the utility bills here? That's the question. When you're talking abroad, everybody, it's the end user who pays for it, right? Same thing here, but so for the landlords, like, okay, I am renting out this apartment, this office. They're gonna pay for it. So unless that end user is educated for them that I want to do more, the landlord is not going to take that initiative unless it is actually, and that's why I'm saying, like, the government needs to step up a little bit more here and drive that. Perhaps have like a share cost model, or have some kind of an incentive program or subsidy, something that would really encourage that end user to take retrofitting more seriously.
Yeah, we have started seeing and hearing in the Middle East off-grid, basically solar programs in some remote areas. And we have the D33 of Dubai, basically for the industrial and also special project of 100% within the grid connected, but 100%. Where do you see that, and basically how are your clients and how are you advising your clients to take benefit of that?
That's a bit tricky here because unfortunately we are still miles away from that.
Yes.
And not just, I mean, I see clients who are really interested in investing in renewable energy, okay? But the connectivity to the grid becomes, I mean, there's still a bit of a challenge there.
Yes.
And this is where I think an acceleration program from the infrastructure point of view is needed. As well as, I mean, if we're going to talk about the UAE as an example, so whether it's Abu Dhabi, whether it's Dubai, you know, they are mandating certain renewable energy to be installed along the new buildings. The same, I guess, when it comes to the retrofitting, you know, there's a bit of encouragement there. In Saudi as well, we're looking at, you know, they're trying to invest heavily on having a net zero, you know, development, especially with the new ones, the likes of NEOM and Red Sea, exactly, and the others. So there is a push there, but again, coming down to the practicality of it, if the infrastructure is not ready for it to be connected to it, then it's all going down to a battery and it's being stored. So it's the way that it's being designed that we need to design for it right now, and then how do we connect it later on? So it's part of that resiliency plan that I was talking about, that we need to not just think about it today, but how do we improve it even for tomorrow?
Enji, it was an absolute pleasure to have
Likewise.
you with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.